Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Shorts here on PRConnectionRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. We have another fantastic show planned out for you. And what we do here on Vegas Hockey Hub Shorts is that we focus on the rest of the NHL. We focus on teams that are not the Vegas Golden Knights, Henderson Silver Knights, UNLV Rebels Hockey. So on this episode, I want to talk about how to fix the Montreal Canadiens. More importantly, I'm going to give you the two ways I would fix the Montreal Canadiens, your host, Ian Rachiele. Because you have to understand from the outsider's point of view, the Montreal Canadiens, the second highest salary cap in the NHL. Montreal Canadiens, who had the number one overall pick in the past NHL draft, and they are going to be projected to be a top 10 NHL draft selection upcoming NHL draft. So the past two seasons have not been pretty in Montreal. But I'm not going to point the blame at general manager Kent Hughes. I'm not going to point the blame to head coach Martin St. Louis. What I mainly look at when it comes to a problem is that the Montreal Canadiens are kind of at a crossroads. You have a bunch of aging veterans on your roster, but then you also have an influx of young, up-and-coming stars with the Montreal Canadiens. As a matter of fact, with the Montreal Canadiens, you have 6 or 7 players who have some pretty bad contracts with the Montreal Canadiens, whereas you have 5 or 6 young players that the Montreal Canadiens can use to build up their core. 5 or 6 young players that the Montreal Canadiens could definitely use as a stepping stone to become a great team and go back to the Stanley Cup Finals. They did back in 2021. Now, the two ways I would fix the Montreal Canadiens, two ways that your host, Ian Rachiele, here on Vegas Hockey Hub, would fix the Montreal Canadiens. The first one would be using the NHL trade deadline to dump bad contracts. I would take advantage of this trade deadline and I would get rid of a couple of contracts that are definitely holding back the Montreal Canadiens. I would say Jonathan Drouin, $5.5 million cap hit, 27 years old. He would be a rental for any team that would get him. But when it comes to Jonathan Drouin, I really don't understand why he's still on the Montreal Canadiens. For a guy who has not scored a goal this season in Montreal, he's also missed a certain amount of games this year, only played 32. So for Jonathan Drouin, $5.5 million, that is a bad contract when it comes to Montreal. Another contract that's really backfired on Montreal is former Vegas Golden Knight Evgeny Dadonov. Only 4 goals in 17 points this year for the Montreal Canadiens. Now, his $5 million cap hit would be a rental once again, but he is someone that I could see potentially being flipped as well. 3 other players I could mention that could be flipped down the line. I will say Mike Hoffman, 33 years old, $4.5 million, and he has 2 years left on his deal. I would say Christian Dvorak, $4.4 million. He has 3 years left on his deal, but 27 years old, under 25 points on the year in Montreal. I'm also going to point out that there is certain players like Joel Edmondson, $3.5 million cap hit, will be there until 2024. I mean, 1 goal, 6 points in around 40 games in Montreal, not really that great. And I also will say David Savard, he would be another one. So when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens, they just have a bunch of older veterans on their team. And the second way I'd fix the Montreal Canadiens is put 6 young players on my untradeable list. Put 6 players on the will not trade list. And that would be your captain, Nick Suzuki. That would be Cole Caulfield, Raphael Harvey-Pinard, Justin Barron, Jordan Harris, and Kirby Dach. So that's how I would fix the Montreal Canadiens. Get rid of bad contracts at the deadline and have these 6 young players be untradeable. Let me know down below if you agree or disagree with that here on Vegas Hockey Hub Shorts. Once again, this was how to fix the Montreal Canadiens. So I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And continue watching hockey. Go support junior hockey. And like we always do, go Knights, go.